Kia ora. I thought we'd just quickly look at how to plan for relationship essays. Sorry, not relationship essays, character essays. So I'm just going to quickly run through some different character sort of based questions and then I guess talk about how you might answer those. And then you guys can have the time after this to either make a planning page for a character-based essay, or you can have a bit of time to read the book, since I'm aware so many of you have not yet read it. So let's have a look at what some character-based questions kind of look like. So these are some of the ones that have been popped up over the last few years. Analyze how the experiences of one or more characters were used for a particular purpose. Analyze how the experiences of a character were used to comment on society. Analyze how one or more minor characters influence the development of a main character. Analyze how one or more characters were used to give readers an important message. Analyze how one or more ideas were used to comment on an aspect of human nature. Ideas may refer to character, theme, or setting. Or analyze how one or more ideas in the text served as a warning to readers. Ideas may refer to character, theme, or setting. So we've kind of talked about these two here before, and talking about how the characters show this idea of morality or something along those lines. We've talked about those ones. So I kind of wanted to focus on these ones up here because they're fairly similar. So let's have a look at the next one. So this one here is analyze how the experiences of one or more characters were used for a particular purpose. When we're talking about experiences, it's just basically like how did some of the things that happened to a character, how were they used to show us something? What was the purpose in them experiencing that? So you could tackle this in a couple of ways. The first way I've tackled it is because it says one or more characters, I've chosen to do 3. And what I've done is I've said that their experiences show us that difficult circumstances can refigure a person's moral resolve. Now, to get those, basically what I've done is I have gone to the theme notes that are on OneNote and Teams, and I've basically just been pulling from there, so you can kind of see that's there. It's the exact same as the statement as like what's morally permissible when facing the threat of death. It's basically the same statement, just refigured into a statement rather than a question. So just that's just where these kept coming from. So yeah, that's what those theme notes are there for, and that's why certain bits are involved. So basically my essay would argue that Lale, Jakub, and the Sonder commandos show us that difficult circumstances can refigure a person's moral resolve. And I would probably look at something that about Lale's experience of having to tattoo purpose and how that changed his morals, and then Jakub's experiences having to torture other people and how that changed his morals, and then the same thing with the Sonder commandos. So that really closely kind of mimics the essay that's sitting in your guys' booklets. Now, if I wanted to change it a little bit and do the same question and just talk about Lale, so how were Lale's experiences used for a particular purpose, it might look something like this. So I've just changed my experience word ever so slightly. So his, not there, sorry, I should say his, which I can't edit. His experiences show us that unfortunate circumstances can sometimes make upholding one's moral convictions practically impossible or futile, futile meaning pointless. So, same thing, his experience of tattooing others, his experience of seeing the innocent men die, and then support that with the second quote when he talks to Gita about how he lost his faith, because that's his experience of seeing those people innocently die is used for the particular purpose of showing that he can't uphold his convictions anymore, he can't uphold his morals, or his beliefs might be better there. And then his relationship with Bartiski as well. So I've taken that quote there. Before he knows that he is giving Bartiski further advice on how to treat women. Inside his head, Lale is telling himself to shut up. What should he care about the monster beside him? So you could use that to say that, you know, he had to make this, the unfortunate circumstance of being in Auschwitz. He had to basically get rid of his morals and become friends with the very people that were killing his people. So that he could kind of survive. So you could even support that with the quote about Bartiski shooting the 3 innocent men on the road, and that would work quite nicely together. So that's kind of how it might look for one character. In terms of getting these to merit or excellence, what gets them to merit or excellence is making really clear links back to this purpose statement, that would almost be your thesis. Like in this essay, I will argue that Lale shows us that unfortunate circumstances make upholding your convictions impossible. And that's how you kind of pull that a little bit together. So let's look at a slightly different question. Analyze how one or more characters were used to give readers an important message. An important message, or like a comment on society or an idea or whatever, that's for particular purposes, all the same words. Okay, so if it's basically analyze how characters were used to do something, it's the exact same thing. So important message, like share an important comment about society, give an important message to readers, whatever some other synonyms are of the word message that I can't think of right now. Yeah, communicate something to us. Any of it means basically the same thing. So I've gone with the same thing with Lale again, so you can see how it mimics across. And I've said same sort of thesis, unfortunate circumstances make upholding one's moral convictions impossible / futile. So his experiences of tattooing others, seeing the innocent men die, and then his experience with Jakob. I thought that was quite a nice one because, you know, he kind of had a lot to do with that. And the fact that I added this bit here, Lale reaches up to the large man's shoulders and says, do what you have to do. I think that sort of shows that he understands that Jakob can't hold his moral convictions as well. So you could quite easily tie that into your essay. So it's the same thing. It's the same idea of like, how do Lale's experiences, or this time it's actually how does Lale just give us the important message? So the message is this: unfortunate circumstances can make upholding convictions impossible. And I just need to make sure I clearly explain how he shows me that. Okay, so hopefully you're able to see the links kind of between all these, and that really they're the same question, and that what's changing is this bit up here where I'm yanking the keyword. So like here I've got their experiences show us, because this is what the question asks, and over here I've got the message I've taken from the text is blah blah blah. Even though it's the same idea, I'm using those keywords. So that's what's really important, making sure you use the keywords from the question into your thesis statement and repeat them throughout your paragraphs. That's what that good sort of clear essay writing looks like. Okay, let's look at the last one. Analyze how one or more characters were used to give the readers an important message. So I've kind of gone for a slightly different tactic here. This one I've gone for that kind of idea of hope and faith, that sort of stuff. So I've got a couple of different messages that, again, sort of all share this idea that just are refocused and said in different ways, basically. And same thing, I took these statements from these theme notes. So these notes in bold are where these statements are coming from. Okay, so it's not, you can even see here, that should be bold, but that's this idea of hope fuels resilience. Okay, so if I go back, messages from the text. Morris's purpose is to share the message that hope fuels resilience. Morris is implying that hope, optimism or hope is often attainable even in dire times. Morris helps readers see that faith often prevails in unlikely circumstances. So again, I've gone for this whole idea that the characters are giving us hope, or the characters are giving us like positivity or optimism or something along those kind of lines. It's not uncommon to get questions about like hope or despair or dismay or ideas of innocence and guilt and things like that. So that's kind of how we tackle those sorts of questions. So you can kind of see in this one, I've gone a bit further and put in some explanation to kind of show you. So I'm just going to go with the first one. Morris's purpose is to share the message that hope fuels resilience. So, and again, these notes have just come from those theme notes. Lale responds to adversity not by losing all hope, but committing himself to a stubborn form of optimism. Walking outside to find a place to urinate, he notices several other prisoners above a ditch, and they get shot. This is the first act of senseless, sadistic violence that Lale witnesses, but instead of letting it demoralize him to a point of total hopelessness and despair, he responds by making a promise to himself: I will live to leave this place, I will walk out a free man. So I thought that was quite nice that it shares this all of these points about that, he sees something really, really awful but actually he makes that sort of optimistic, hopeful message to himself that he will leave this place and he's determined to leave, and that's what makes him resilient to situations later on. And then same thing with his relationship with Gita, and that his love for Gita really, like, again, gives him hope that he's going to get out. So there's some notes about that there, and then the quote there about how it strengthens his resolve to go on for another day, and yada yada yada. So those would be like two quite good different quotes about how he attains hope for Lale. If you wanted to continue on and talk about just Lale, this one here is quite good, where in I can't remember what chapter it is, but the American plane flies over the camp, and he thinks it brings him hope that this might be coming to an end. And the lovely quote here: "It would be too late for those who died today, but maybe their deaths would not be in vain. Hold on to that thought, use it to get out of bed tomorrow morning, and the next morning, and the next morning." So again, it's that hope that things would get better, and that those hope encourages him to get out. And it's the same thing with hoping that his family is safe, and how that kind of motivates him, and that he keeps doing stuff in the hope that his family has been kept safe. So those would be two quotes that you could use to, I guess, give the readers an important message. If you wanted to do a series of different characters and do how do three different characters give us an important message, and that, e.g., so how do three different characters show us about this idea of hope fueling resilience, you could take one of these sorts of ones about Lale. Then you could take the one about Lale and Aaron, and about saving the one, and like how that kind of shows resilience because it kind of encourages Lale to go on. This one here, "You make me want to believe in a future," is said by Gita, and after she sort of like at some point through her relationship with Lale, and like the fact that he's so, I guess, hopeful and optimistic encourages her to be hopeful and optimistic. So that would fit quite nicely, and how that makes her resilient to situations. And then there's this lovely one down here as well from Dana. "It is enough that one of us has a little happiness. We share in it and you let us, and that's enough for us." And again, like the hope of Lale's and Gita's relationship, again, sort of fuels resilience as well. So you could twist it like that too. So your task for the day, we've already talked about these before, is that I would be making an essay plan based on assuming that you would write one of those questions. A detailed plan is almost just as good as an essay. So yeah, the reason I'm getting you to do this again is this is the last essay planning time really we have before you guys do your mock exam in week 9. So if you haven't, it's really important to like cover yourself for a variety of questions. So that's why we're going through and doing these plans. So you guys have seen this before. The sheets I will whack up on OneNote and Teams, and they're also with the reliever, so you can grab those. And then that's what we're doing next time. So yeah, so make a plan, detailed plan. That's your task. If you finish your detailed plan, some other things that you could do this afternoon is read the book. That's quite good. Reading the book would be very helpful. If you're only going to skim read, please at least read chapter 14. Otherwise, some other things you could do would be start making quote flashcards as well, because you are going to have to memorize these quotes. Obviously, you don't need to memorize everything that's on that yellow piece of paper, so maybe sort of work out the, I guess, direction you're planning on taking your essays, and go with that. If you haven't as well, rereading the theme notes and even like highlighting them for yourself, that would be also really helpful when those are on Teams as well. Okay, good luck, and I will see you guys on Monday.